Hello, hello! Welcome to the studio! My name is Alex, and I'm the artist behind AGM Art Studio, where we create art, play games, and make memories together. Since 2024 is coming to an end, I thought it would be fun to kind of give out a little recap of my year and do a little sketchbook tour in the background for showing off artwork that I don't normally post on my socials. A lot of the artwork within these sketchbooks are concept artwork for things like my webcomic that I'm working on, Tales from the Moonlight Bathhouse, streaming ideas. You'll probably see some concept ideas for my VTubers that I had throughout the year, and just some other like concept arts for things maybe like for like fan art, contest submissions, draw this in your styles things, stuff like that. So while that's going on in the background, I'll just give a little ramble about what happened to me this year. And honestly, it was kind of a crazy year when I think back on it. It was kind of fun sitting down trying to remember what all I did. It really feels like the year was kind of split into three, essentially. Really, I had my spring, fall, and then whatever happened in the summer. Or let's swap that around. Spring, summer, whatever happened in the fall. That's what I'm looking for. I will say this is semi-scripted, semi-not scripted. So we'll just keep that in mind. So, as we're just getting in here and everything, so to begin the year, yeah, it felt like 3 separate years, dividing it up into seasons. So beginning with the spring. So at the beginning of the spring, I had essentially just come off of working some of the craziest events I'd ever had to do, dealing with some of the craziest stuff I'd ever had to do at work. To that point, crazier stuff happens later in the year, but trust me. Looking back on it, oh man. Essentially, just got off of like probably a really big year for our athletic department, doing sports and stuff. So the spring was a lot of just doing our spring sports stuff and then whatever music theater stuff we had to do. So I was still working a good amount. However, I had been working in the background on my webcomic, and I had a friend of mine at work suggest that, hey, maybe you should start streaming. And I was like, you know what? Screw it. Why not try? So around February or March is when I officially started streaming on Twitch. I made the account like significantly earlier to like watch other stuff, to like do research. But like me officially starting with my peacock, VTuber started around in March. So I started with a couple art streams, and then my sister was really wanting to play Phasmophobia with me. And so we're like, you know what, why not? Let's try playing Phasmophobia on Twitch. And it's essentially become a weekly thing for us now, which is amazing. We've been having a ton of fun. It's one of those fun kind of puzzle games. You know, scary, spooky. I was crying the first few times I played it because the jump scares got me pretty good. I'm pretty much a pro at it now. You know, I can just kind of sit there and mock the ghosts. They still get me on occasion, but it's been super fun. Pony has really enjoyed streaming with me as well. She's been having a blast, especially once we started getting people in chat to join in and everything. It's been super crazy fun, and we just get those reactions out of people. It's awesome. Having an audience has definitely really helped that part of my, I guess, content making ambitions. Just because for a long time, if I didn't like something, or I'm like, ooh, something, ooh, there's a better way to do this, I have straight up just deleted entire YouTube channels because I'm like, oh no, my stuff is awful, I need to start over, start from scratch, this stuff never existed. With streaming, people have already seen it, so I can't say it never existed. It's a very big problem of mine, being the perfectionist that I am, that I have to go in and if it's not perfect, it shouldn't exist mentality. So I'm definitely trying to deprogram myself, and Twitch has helped out with that a lot. So I was able to do a lot of that in the spring. My birthday Phasmophobia stream that we did was amazing. Got to play with Pony, her boyfriend King, my friend Clover from work, the one who suggested streaming. So great, so funny. God, I wish all 4 of us would get in and do that again. It was just fantastic. So yeah, started streaming in the spring. Fun stuff for sure. I was also working on Tales from the Moonlight Bathhouse, my webcomic that I've had in development since around December of 22. It's been in development for a while just because it's one of those I'll pick it up when I have time. But this next year, once we get to the goal sections of the video, I definitely want to prioritize working on that opposed to my other projects. I'm one of those, I don't know if it's ADHD or whatever. I've never been officially diagnosed, so take this with a grain of salt. But essentially, once I have an idea for something, I'll drop everything else and be like, no, I should pursue that idea. No. You already have had this idea that you've been working on for over a year. You need to work on that first. Okay, I'll work on that first. That's fine. So I was working on that, and I did officially finish the first chapter of that webcomic. And then I did sketch for the second chapter of that comic around Easter. I remember Easter Day, I was visiting family and I had some spare time, so I just worked on it for a little bit. I will say that because I ended up dropping it around that time completely and didn't work on it again until maybe a couple weeks ago, this is, like I said, what I said before, the whole like, oh, I found out a better way to do it, let me just start from scratch. I will be doing that with this webcomic. However, the way I'm going to approach it this time should hopefully stop me from trying to completely redo it from scratch again. So, we should be all set there. You'll see some of that artwork throughout these books as well. Yua, one of the main characters, her daughter Sara. I think there may have been a picture of her and Hideyoshi in there. Hideyoshi actually doesn't come until like a few chapters later. But I'll talk more about my goals for Tales from the Moonlight Bathhouse in the goals section of the video. So we'll get that going in a moment. So what else I did this spring? Let's see. So what essentially distracted me from working on more Tales from the Moonlight Bathhouse? Well, I signed up to go to Fan Expo Denver, and that was my first convention that I'd ever been to, and it was crazy. On the one hand, it was terrifying because it was 12 hours away from home. So yeah, just driving 12 hours, I'm so glad I got the car that I did because it had cruise control, comfy ride, great time. I was able to go crow and pony, so I had friends, and it was really, really cool. I will say with conventions in the future, I might be one of more of those, like going maybe one day out of all 4. We were there all 4 because like 12 hours of driving, you gotta make it worth it. I went there so I could check out the artist booths, but also so I could meet voice actors. And what was really cool, I kind of had like a big old reality check when meeting the voice actors. Because for a long time, living where I do, we don't ever get stuff like that. We never get, well, maybe if we do, but it's at like a resort, the random resort town we have in our state, and that's where all the rich people go and they never visit the rest of the state. For the most part, apparently that's changing, but whatever. But it was a really cool reality check because really getting to see them in person when I'd only ever seen them in videos or movies or whatever, seeing them in person, getting to shake their hand, show them my artwork, it was so cool, but it also like ripped off the veil. If you can understand, like, oh wow, these people are so amazing, something, and I get there and I'm like, you really are just a dude, aren't you? You just got a really cool job, you're meeting people. It was crazy. I want to call out a couple of the actors that we got to saw. Roger Craig Smith, the guy who plays Sonic the Hedgehog. Sweet, he was the sweetest. He was the first guy I got to meet. His line wasn't crazy busy. It was the first day of the con, so it wasn't bad, which was great. But he was able to have full-on conversations with people, which was awesome, so I got to talk with him. And it was so cool getting to meet him, told him where I was from. He was like, oh my god, 12 hours, that's insane. I'm like, I know, first convention ever. And I showed him my artwork. Like, we were able to talk about my home state. He'd been there before. Where he said he was from, I'm like, well, of course, all the rich people or, like, anybody who somebody has been up there to that resort town. But I was showing him my artwork. I'm like, yeah, isn't it, like, I'd love to check out the booths. I'd love to talk to the booth artists. Unfortunately, didn't do any of that. But I'd love to run my own booth someday. It'd be amazing, sell artwork, talk with people. Like, selling, like, I like that. I like that whole, I can sell things, make my own rules, give something to make someone happy. Like, that's what I want to do. And I was talking with him and everything, and he's like, looking at the artwork that you have, because I showed him the other pieces I had, he's like, this is impressive. You could totally run a booth and get some sales. Like full on wasn't like, oh yeah, kiddo, go get your dreams. Like, the face that he gave me, he's like, yes, you can pursue this. This will get you there. Oh man! And then later on in the day, I went to go see his panel with Patricia Somerset. And, like, it was really fun because I was like, oh, you can ask a question. I'm like, oh, I remember seeing this in videos. People get to go ask questions at the panel. Don't let me ever do that because I ask really stupid questions. And then I get really, nervous, like, oh, this is great, whatever. But I get up to the microphone, and he's just like, hi, Alex. And I'm like, oh my God. Now, I will say, he probably doesn't remember me, and that's fine. He probably saw almost, maybe, like, I'm gonna be generous and saw 10,000 people over that 4-day weekend. I do not expect that man to remember me at all. I will remember him. That's the whole point of those interactions. But, no, just the fact that he did that, and he was so super crazy nice. And it's one of those, like, now that the veil's been ripped off or whatever, like, it'd be really cool to get to work with these people, to work with him on a project of some kind. Like, it'd be cool, like, I mean, I'm not very good at the audio stuff, unfortunately, but if I ever, like, did get to make my own show or something, it'd be so cool to bring, like, people like him in and be like, hey, give us the best performance you can and let's make this thing come to life. Like, God, could he make a good Hideyoshi now that I think about it? Ooh. Roger, okay. Okay, let's stop highlighting. It was a great experience. He was, number one on the list of best actor to talk to that whole time. Actor number 2, Yuri Lowenthal. Yuri, poor man, was sick during the convention, so he was wearing like a microphone thing so he didn't have to strain his voice while talking to people because it was very loud. But he was busy the whole time because, he's the voice of Spider-Man and he's voiced so many other characters. He's kind of like all over the place kind of actor, which is really cool. And so, I didn't mind waiting in line. It was during the day that I kind of just made the whole day about waiting in lines for signatures. But essentially, once I got up to him and everything, he was so super nice. Even the guy I was talking to, I'm like, hey, does he accept, because I brought extra copies of artwork to give to the voice actors if they wanted it. He's like, oh yeah, he loves accepting that stuff all the time. Excuse me. So we went in, did that, and so I went to go meet him, and I showed him the artwork. He's like, oh wow, and I'm like, yeah, this is just some artwork I made. He's like, you made this? Are you one of the artists at the booths? Bro, like, the fact that he looked at it and he's like, oh yeah, this is something one of the booth sellers would have. Like, there it is! I've been riding this high all year, and it's probably one of the... Ooh. I'm looking off the side here, my cat's looking at me like, are you okay? You're just whacking your desk. Did I say this was unscripted? I think I did. But, no, like, his reaction of, oh my god, are you one of those artists? So I've been trying to use that as a motivator for myself to continue streaming to, like, I'm gonna get into all my goals once we reach the goal part after, the sketchbook tour, talking about my year. But, like, getting to hear that from these professional actors who see artwork like this all the time, they probably work with professional artists themselves. The fact that they were like, oh yeah, you definitely fit within, your art has reached that level. It's still mind-boggling to me. It's just these complete strangers, never met before. All I know for them is their job. Getting to see it was fantastic. Hard to say. One more actor I want to talk about. Zach Aguilar, who plays Tanjiro in Ether. My sister and I actually waited in line for him because my sister has her own webcomic she's currently doing, and she has this character named Morpheus who she'd want him to voice. It was really funny because he was really late, so we ended up waiting like a couple extra hours for him to show up, which is fine. Totally understand. A city like Denver, probably crazy busy. He went in and she's like, she was drawing a picture for him while standing in line because she had her tablet. She's like, hey, so I don't know how your voice stuff works, but could you just describe how you'd voice him? And his face, I will say he's very cute. But his face, he's like, I don't know how I describe it, but I feel like he's very suave kind of, and he just started doing a voice, and Pony's face just lit up. It was amazing. I rarely ever get to see her face light up like that. It was crazy. Probably the most exciting thing I did this year, aside from starting streaming. Fan Expo Denver. Super fun. Don't know if I'd want to spend as many days at a convention like that again, But I mean, if it's like maybe a once a year kind of thing, I think I'd be fine with it. I don't know if I'll go to Fan Expo Denver again next year. Honestly, maybe too many people for me personally. I'd rather go to smaller ones. Maybe might go to SakuraCon in Seattle in April, but that's still yet to be determined. So, but then towards the end of the summer, once we were back home and everything, I finally, well, I don't know why I said finally, but I was invited to join the Streamline Discord server, where a bunch of other streamers kind of collect together. If you've been on my streams before, if you've ever seen a guy that randomly comes in and says cheese almost every time, that is essentially where that started, was that server there. They've been a really nice group of people so far. We'll get on and game occasionally. I'll stream on Saturdays if the game what they're playing is something my computer system can handle, or if it's a game that I actually enjoy playing. But everyone's been really, really nice. Everyone has their quirks. Everyone definitely does. There have been a couple times I'm like, what do you mean you said that? But then again, I've said some really stupid stuff on stream too, so trying to have that professionalism and still just be myself is a weird line to work between. Like streaming, I do kind of just let myself kind of just not be professional at all. But other times I will have those moments. Like I remember recently we were streaming and a new person showed up and I'm like, hey guys, let's do introductions, and everyone kind of just froze. And I'm like, well, okay, I'll start it off. Hi, I'm Alex. But no, getting to join that little server has been really fun actually. This may sound really stupid, but I have not had the concept of internet friends until this year. I've been on this earth for how long? It was internet stranger danger was drilled into my brain for a long time. So we'll just, ignore that for now. So as we're getting on to kind of towards the end of the sketchbook tour here, going through it and everything, you saw like my VTuber designs, all that fun stuff. So a lot of that artwork is a little more recent because as we get into what I would describe as the me fall, basically at work, we had to work these 3 giant stadium shows, all in the span of 2 weeks. And oh man, I thought, I'd always seen those videos of vicious customer service. Oh no, the stadium shows themselves could be a video in itself. Really, it could. Although, I mean, maybe I shouldn't talk about it while I'm still working there. But it was a super stressful time, but I was also insanely proud of what me and my ticketing team, well, really Crow's ticketing team, I'm just under Crow, my friend Crow, but the fact of our team being able to accomplish what we did during those shows, considering we are, at this time, still severely understaffed, I'm very proud of what we did. I really hope we don't have to do it again anytime soon, though. But yeah, it kind of started the me fall. So I'd been working 30 plus hours of overtime nonstop for 3 months, until about this week when I'm able to record this video, so that's fun. But yeah, that's kind of the year in a nutshell, I suppose. Definitely a lot of Fan Expo Denver just because it was the most exciting thing I did this year. Super, super, super fun. Getting into streaming, also a big thing as well. And just, yeah, on the one hand, I felt like I didn't do a whole lot of artwork this year. But I actually did with like the assets that I made, these sketchbooks, like doing this at work. Yeah, I made artwork this year. It's hard to tell, I mean, because my socials are very slim, because all I put on my socials is the finished work. But like, I did do a lot this year. It's crazy. I mean, and back to the Discord stuff, I was able to go on a fun little interview with Prometheus_BP. And like they just ask random questions and we just do like a little interview style thing on their Burning Den talk show. It was super cute. At the time of recording, they haven't uploaded it to YouTube yet, but at least my little show. But once they do, I'll definitely put that in the descriptions and my socials. So I'll get to share that out with everybody when that is ready to go. But yeah, so as we continue out of the sketchbook here, we'll go ahead and finish up and then we'll start talking about my goals for 2025. In regards to my artwork, not necessarily life goals, just my artwork goals. Alrighty, let's get into the goals portion of this video, shall we? So, essentially when I was out creating my goals for the next year, I did have goals for myself for 2024. I think I may have been a little too specific with those goals. Like I said, I did get distracted easily from some of the ones that I set. Throughout my sketchbook, you may have noticed like some other artwork regarding some maybe other different characters, because I do have other projects that like maybe I've worked on in the past. I'm like, oh, maybe I'll try working on that project again. I am very much trying to avoid that this next year. If I'm going to get anything done, I need to focus. So future me, quit being stupid, get your together, and let's work on these goals. So, I'm not currently watching the video while I'm recording, so my talking points may be a little off, but essentially what you're seeing I'm doing here is I'm making myself a physical little sheet of paper that I can put onto my bulletin board that's gonna always be above my desk, so I can have a constant reminder of my goals and what I want to achieve. So, goal number 1. I want to stream on Twitch at least 2 times a week, as long as work permits. When I was talking about the stadium shows earlier, I definitely would not have been able to stream at all those 2 weeks. Holy crap. So as long as work permits, because, you know, work is important. I need to pay my bills. It's important. And at least one of those streams have to be me drawing art. I was looking back at my archive for what I do for my streams, because I record every single one off to the side. I did used to like post them onto YouTube, but then I wasn't really feeling it. And I didn't want my YouTube channel just fill with Twitch VODs. I may make a separate channel in the future, but that's not currently on my radar. But I made like maybe 4 art streams, I think, at the time of recording. Maybe a couple more since then, but yeah, so I'm AGM Art Studio. I should be doing something artsy. However, that whole at least one is an art stream each week actually helps play into goal number 2. Which goal number 2 is complete 5 chapters of Tales from the Moonlight Bathhouse. I even gave myself some little check marks on that sheet so I could check off every time I completed a chapter. For a while, I really wasn't necessarily wanting to do comic stuff on stream, because my little perfectionist, whatever, I'm like, oh no, I don't want to spoil anything. No, I can't do it. Well, it's a little hard to stay motivated when you can't really work on the thing when you're streaming something else. Like, it's really, because when I stream, I feel like I have company, because there's a lot of times I tend to be by myself. For a while, actually, I thought, I'm like, oh yeah, I could totally live as a hermit. Discovered I cannot. I really do like to have company, but I also don't want to bother anybody to have company with me, so that's why streaming's nice. People can come and go as they please, ask questions. I can have my fun little time, all that fun stuff there. But yeah, so essentially, I'm not gonna worry, because like I'll totally stream drawing the actual comic panels. Maybe I don't do the wording on stream if I want to keep a little bit of the surprise, but like people can ask questions, and if it's the first 5 chapters, what am I really gonna spoil? Like the first 3 chapters essentially set up the hook of the series. So, you know, you have your first episode establishing a couple of the characters, second episode establish the characters a little more, introduce the extra character, essentially the character that acts more as like the audience insert, because this is a world completely of my own making. It's not necessarily like our world where people would understand it very well. It has its own rules and balances, and that character is there to basically ask the questions of why does this happen, exposition reasons, but not super heavy exposition, I hope. Trying to ride that line, I guess. But I also want to do some other things involving the series as well. Like, I'd love to make a video, like, introducing the characters. Like, hey, this is Yua, the owner of the bathhouse, something something. This is Sara, daughter of Yua, something something. It'd be fun to do, like, a video where I take voice actors, if I were to make this an animated series, who I'd want to voice who. It's really hard for me to find female voice actors, I'm not gonna lie. Apparently it's really easy for me to remember the guys, but the ladies is a whole other story. So I'll have to go based off of, like, characters, I think, and then just go with their actors from there. But that's neither here nor there. Goal number 3, complete the AGM Art Studio website. I've been wanting to put together a portfolio site and a place that I can host Tales of the Moonlight Bathhouse, because Moonlight Bathhouse will be on like Webtoons. However, I do want it on my own website as well, so in case Webtoons were to ever like explode or something, or I can be like, hey, if you want to see the episode a week early, go check out my website, and all that fun stuff there. I guess with something like that, you'd put it behind a Patreon. I definitely don't feel like I'm ready for anything Patreon worthy at all yet. It is, like I said, I do have to prioritize work just to keep those bills paid, but if all goes well, the more, I guess, reputation or something I build up, the more I can work on stuff that I want to. Because, I mean, it would be cool if I could eventually get to a point where I'm selling stuff, doing stuff, where I don't have to work that extra office job to make ends meet. Now, that's definitely one of those you gotta work for it kind of things, and I do not expect any of that this year. That's why none of that's on my goals. I just want to complete the website so the comic has a place to live, I can show off my artwork, maybe set up commissions, possibly, but I'm not gonna hold myself to that standard this year. I'm just trying to be very nice to myself this year with my goals, if that makes any sense. And essentially, I just don't want to stress myself out too much with it. So, yeah. I'm being generous with these goals here. And if I manage to finish more than 5 chapters of Moonlight Bathhouse, great! I'll continue to keep working on it, because the more chapters I make, the more backlog I'll have, so in case something happens and I can't make a chapter, it's okay. You don't gotta wait too long. It's definitely a story I'm very passionate about. It's one of those stories, I had one source of inspiration for it, and everything else came... Like, it wasn't necessarily a ripoff, like one of my... As much as I love my Infernal Vows story, it was based off of a Black Butler fanfiction that I myself made. We don't need to talk about it. It's fine. But, like, Tales of the Moonlight Bathhouse feels, to me, like I've never seen something like that done before. Maybe something similar has been done, and maybe something in some other way, but for me, it feels very new. And that's why I'm very excited to work on it this year. So, but yeah, goal number 3, complete that website. So I also wanted to put on some stuff here as well. The new things to try category might be hard to see on screen just because it's towards the bottom. Trying to figure out that dang camera angle was a little difficult, if I'm being honest. So these are things I want to try this year, but I'm not necessarily making goals around. It's just kind of something to fiddle with, like, oh man, I really don't feel like doing any of the other 3. Maybe I'll try to learn something new. I think it'd be good for me to maybe learn more about audio mixing. I like to sing on stream sometimes, because for some reason I'm a little attention whatever to be like, oh my gosh, listen to me sing, don't I sound so good? Everybody tells me I do. So I don't know if that's feeding into the ego or what. But I also don't want to make people's ears bleed, so I guess it's a pick and choose. But I think I've been told, like, hey, you should try to make song covers. I think that could be fun. If I were to do that, they'd definitely be like covers of like Sonic the Hedgehog songs. 1, because I think the copyright stuff would be a lot easier to finagle. And 2, I mean, it's just fun. I adore those songs. There's just a lot of good ones. I just gotta figure out how to make like the background instrumentals and stuff. I learned a little bit of it in college. It was a little difficult, and I hated every second of that class because honestly it was really dumb and they didn't really teach us much, if I'm being real honest. They're like, here's a program, slap some things together. This kind of does this thing, and it's like, for me it's one of those you have to explain to me why it does what it does, not just do the thing. Okay, why are we doing the thing? Just do the thing. No, why are we doing... It's really dumb. I want to try... This is a goal or something I wanted to try for years. Finally get my hands in and actually do a frame-by-frame animation. I did a little bit of animation this year with, like, Live 2D, where I essentially, made the puppet, made it go back and forth and animate. It's definitely... I wanted to animate ever since I was a kid, draw those frames, get the characters to move, awesome, great. The problem for me is that because of just how I am, if I don't see results right away, I often get discouraged. And trying to juggle that with trying to do other things, like, I'm a great multitasker, but sometimes there's those things that you can't multitask when you're doing it. And it's a little disheartening sometimes because maybe it doesn't look right, something like that. I want to try it. I want to do something like maybe I make myself a hand-drawn animation of my VTuber coming out of a curtain or something. You know, like, ooh, welcome to the show, raise the curtain, something like that, you know? So, yeah. Another thing I want to try to do, I want to try to put together a little D&D campaign. I have some coworkers who may be interested. By the time I get it finished, I don't know if those coworkers will still be around, just because of how our office works with our part-timers. But I love world building, and I want to make something fun for everybody. I've always wanted to be a dungeon master and just bring people on an adventure so we could have some really fun moments together and just do some cool things. I don't know how far I'll get with that, but it could be fun to like make D&D NPCs on stream or something. So that's something I could try. There was, in the Sketchbook tour, I'm sure you saw them, a couple of D&D ideas that I had over the year. But I mean, they didn't really go anywhere. And then the final thing I want to try is making sticker designs. There's always a joke of like, Alex, when you put together a sticker shop and start making money, what are you going to do? And I'm like, well, I need to figure out what kind of like, I want to make things to sell. I think it'd be cool. I'd love to make pins, charms, like acrylic charms, stickers, prints. It'd be really, really fun. The issue is I'm trying to figure out what exactly people want, I guess, is what I'm looking for. So, like, I don't know, like, do I stick to, like, Genshin? Do I try making my own original stuff? Like, what do I go for? Because if you don't have a customer base, you can't really get far there. So it's something I want to try, but not something I'm going to hold myself to. Kind of get what I'm saying there? But yeah, as we're finishing up, I put some stickers on my little sheet. Be kind, be yourself. Another thing I should try doing this year. You know, heaven forbid I ever try being myself. But, but yeah, those are essentially my goals for the year. This is going to go up on my bulletin board. So every time I walk in my room, I can be like, ah, yes, this is what I should work on. So, but yeah, that was the year in the nutshell. My goals for the year. So allow me to get to our closing statements. And I will see you all shortly. Hello! Thank you for sticking to the end of the video. I hope you enjoyed the tour. I hope you enjoyed my little ramble. I hope you enjoyed looking at my plans for the future. So if you have any questions regarding any of the artwork or anything going on, definitely let me know down in the comments. I'd love to answer any questions. And if you ever want to come drop by on Twitch, you can ask me questions there as well. So I suppose this is the part of the video of if you want to stay tuned or follow what kind of artwork stuff I'm wanting to work on in the next year, highly recommend subscribing to my YouTube channel, following me on Twitch, checking out my socials. I'll be working on a ton of stuff there. As long as things go well, I'll have all my goals finished that I want to achieve for this year, and maybe I'll do another thing like this next December, where I look back on next year, make goals for 2026, stuff like that. But I won't get it too ahead of myself right now. Again, I just want to say thank you, and a big thank you to everyone who has helped me out throughout the years, my best friends, IRL, my good friends over on Discord, on Twitch and everything. It means a lot. This year has definitely felt like the year of change and trying out new things. So here's to hopefully a pretty good next year. And yeah, again, thank you so much. This has been AGM Art Studio, and I hope everyone has a great rest of their day and a great new year. See y'all soon!